Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome to the Syon and Brentford Area Forum. I hope you've all enjoyed the food and had a good time in the marketplace. My name is Dan, I am the chair of the meeting and I'm a councillor in Syon and Brentford Lock Ward. And if we could introduce ourselves, starting with Reese.
Hello, I'm Reese.
Hi, I'm Emma, councillor for Brentford West.
I'm Bill, I'm the clerk, not a councillor.
Councillor Catherine Dunn, Syon and Brentford Lock.
Hello, I'm Guy Lambert from Brentford West.
Thank you. So I've had apologies from Councillor Marina Sharma. Any other apologies?
No, Chair.
Members are asked to note the monitoring officer's guidance on members' declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest? Okay, in that case, we'll move straight on to item 2 of the agenda, which is a traffic and transport strategy update. It says it's led by Finn Campbell. I'm pleased to announce we have an upgrade. And we have the wonderful Rob, no, they're equally brilliant. We have the, the wonderfully brilliant Rob Heslop. So Rob, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Barron. So I'm Rob Heslop, I'm the Head of Transport Planning and Road Safety. So just standing in for my colleague Finn Campbell, who's been leading, and well, Finn and the team have been doing a brilliant job leading on updating the transport strategy. So I'm just going to go, if I can get us to it, do a brief update of where we are with the transport strategy and then touch on some of the other sort of transport issues that are relevant in and around Brentford and Syon. Oh, there's a page missing. Oh no, it's in the wrong order. Sorry, I'll start there. So at the moment our transport strategy dates from 2019 and that includes our local implementation plan, which is a document that we have to produce for TfL and has quite a lot of detail on how we will implement the Mayor's transport strategy, Mayor of London's transport strategy. So what we want to do, that document is about 160 pages long and it's, I think there's about 20 people have read it. So what we want to do is
Everything okay?
Sorry, is that better? Yeah.
It was a polite heckle.
So yeah, the current document is long and detailed. So what we're trying to do is just condense it and make it easier to set out what we want to do in the borough. As a strategic document for how we want people to get around. So it's currently, as I said, currently it's about 160 pages. We're reducing that to about 40 pages. And it's a lot clearer about setting out how we want how we see the strategic transport within the borough. So we've got a vision, and that's taken forward and updated slightly from the current strategy, which is for the Hanslows transport network and public spaces to enable development of a prosperous, healthy, accessible and safe environment for all, and supporting a fairer and more equal borough. And I think that there's a couple of points here. I won't go through these slides in detail, but I think safety, inclusivity and healthy, clean and green are really key points for me, responding to the climate emergency, in particular, improving the quality of the environment and making the transport network inclusive, really, I think are very key points for me. And we've got some targets there that are given to us by the Mayor of London. So the Vision Zero target is a key one, so that by 2041, there's no people killed or seriously injured on Hanslows road network or transport network. And we have a target, the other one there that I'll touch on is the number of active and trips made by active travel or sustainable travel, so public transport, And the target given to us by the Mayor of London is 71% of all trips within the borough to be made by active or sustainable modes of transport. So that's walking, cycling, public transport. We were given an interim target of 60% by 2023, and we're already above that. And the latest TfL data has just literally been published, and I haven't got the detail for Hounslow yet, but I think we're increasing that again, which is really good. Sorry, these are a bit out of order, so I'll go back to that one. So we've been doing a lot of engagement work over the summer. The team have been going to lots of events. We've been to the previous round of all the area forums. And we've had lots of comments. I won't read through all of those. There's quite a lot to sort of take in there, but every comment that we've had has been taken on board and read, and we have made changes to the draft strategy as a result of that, and that engagement's been really, really good and really, really helpful, because we need to know what people want us to have put into it. So anyone who's engaged in that, thank you very much for doing that, and it's brilliant. We've had a lot of engagement. So the way we're developing the strategy is we've divided it into 4 different areas to try and just make it easier to set out the objectives, or how the objectives work in terms of the overall strategy. So the first one, we call them strategic moves. So the first one is about the environment and a lot about public realm. So it's really how do we make the transport network sort of a greener and cleaner place for people to travel. The second move, develop healthy places so people can live well. So again, related to public health really, and promoting active travel, and trying to get people to do the target of 20 minutes of exercise per day, and taking those shorter trips off the road network. If people can walk or cycle, it's taking cars off the network. So again, it's helping the overall transport network. The third move there is supporting a more equitable, inclusive and sustainable economy. So there's a lot of growth proposed in the borough, in our local plan. So again, this is about promoting sustainable development, and again, there's only a certain amount of road space, and with all the growth that's planned, we need to try and encourage people to travel, not to travel by car if they don't have to, and it makes then the rest of the note for people who do need to travel. There's more space on the road. So if travel by car, there's more space for people who need to do that. And then the last move there is to make the network safer and more accessible. So again, working with TfL, for example, on the bus network and making that a safer place for people. And with the public realm and footways, it's making it safe. People feel safer, so people are more encouraged to walk or cycle when they can. So the consultation is open for another couple of weeks. So we've got a Let's Talk Hounslow page. We really, really want to encourage people, as many people as possible, to feed into the consultation. The team we do read through every representation that's made. So. And it doesn't matter what it is, we'll still read through it. If we're missing something, we'll review that. If we've got something that's not quite right, we'll change that. So it's really, really important. I think it says there we've got over 30 events planned. I think most of those have taken place, but the Let's Talk Hounslow page web page is still there. So I would really encourage everyone who has an interest in transport in the borough to take part and tell us what you think. That's the most important thing for us. So I think that's where we are with the transport strategy. And if anyone has any questions, I'll obviously take any questions. Just a couple of updates on other transport projects that might be of interest. So West London Orbital rail link, which is proposed to link Hounslow through up to Kew Bridge, up to Acton and Old Oak Common, and then through to North London. So this is the existing rail line. There's a little bit of a new passenger link north of Acton. But that would have a new station at Lionel Road next to the GTEC Stadium and serving that part of Kew Bridge. And we've been working closely with TfL, who are leading this, and the feasibility part of that has just finished earlier this year. So TfL, they're now looking to move to a more detailed design. But if this is approved, then as it says, could be operational within early 2030s, and I think that would be a brilliant link through to a new orbital link through to North London, which hopefully again takes a lot of the car journeys and through traffic off the road. The other sort of rail project that we're looking at is reopening the existing freight line from the A4 up to Southall, which would have a new station at Brentford on the Great West Road, which would serve the opportunity area and lots of development that's planned for there. But it would basically be a sort of a less than 10-minute journey up to the Elizabeth line at Southall, which would be really positive. Again, we know that the bus links are congested and time-consuming, so this would be a real benefit. And we're just currently looking at options how we can deliver that. A little bit about the bus routes. Unfortunately, TfL can't be here tonight, but they've given us some background on performance issues, particularly that were affecting the 65. So I think there were delays in Kingston that were causing that bus route to the journey times to be a bit problematic. So there was a sort of early, it wasn't going all the way up to Ealing. So the update on that is that work in Kingston is more or less finished. So hopefully there should be improved performance on that route. And then bus live information. So obviously TfL have had a cyber incident, and it's been very difficult for colleagues at TfL to get hold of information and data, so it's affected that. But again, I know that's been worked on, and hopefully everything should be up and running shortly. A4 Ealing Road Junction, I'll have a very quick update on that. Again, we know that the traffic signal changes have caused problems with congestion, and TfL are aware of that. They tell us that they are looking at that again, reviewing that again over the next sort of few weeks and months, hopefully to sort out in the short term and make that a bit more efficient. But the longer term project to improve that whole junction is still on the agenda. And again, it's something that we have ongoing discussion with TfL about. And I think this is the last slide. So we've been doing some work on station forecourt upgrades at Brentford and Isleworth stations. We had a consultation exercise that was running early this year. That's now finished, and we're reviewing the responses to that. And hopefully we will share those in the new year and the next stages of that in the new year. But we've had working closely with the South Western Railway to improve the forecourts and the access to both of those stations. And that's something that we're really keen to see go ahead. Oh, sorry, one last one, the ham. So we've got some improvements proposed for the ham. There was a consultation again early this year. The responses, whilst there was only a small number of responses, that was favourable. So there's been some minor changes made to the proposal, and that will hopefully be on site early next year. which will see some really good improvements to the pedestrian environment along the Ham. We're still talking to Ballymore about Teller Road traffic signals. The plan is for those to be removed as part of the development, and we're also looking at the Ham and half-acre junctions as well. So again, hopefully there should be some improvements to all of those junctions in the coming months.
When is the Teller Road lights coming out?
So that's something we need to talk to TfL about. So that's planned as part of the Ballymore development. TfL have a process to go through regarding putting traffic signals in and taking signals out. So we are talking to them about that. I don't have a time scale at the moment for that, but obviously as the development is going up, we want to see those junction improvements come forward.
So, sorry, just one thing. So, very quick question there from Stuart, and Julie robbed of her chance to ask the first question she normally does. But can we get a mic to Julie for her question?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Julie, as most of you would know me by now. The issue is, I did put an email together about, yes, it's great having the strategies, but that's like going down the road. It's not happening now. The three issues I have, you've talked about the 65. That is still the biggest joke going, even though they've had issues. I know of a 94-year-old that will stand at a bus stop for 40 minutes and not realise the buses aren't running no more because TfL do not bother to put signs up to say the bus is not running. They go on diversion without telling anybody. Now, a lot of us aren't getting younger. It isn't good to stand around in the cold, now the winter's coming, waiting for a bus that are never going to turn up. It turns around at the Great West Road without any option. It just decides, let's not go from here and not go any further. It's as though the bus is frightened to go down the South Ealing Road in case we attack them. And it's got to the point that somebody ends up, there's going to be an elderly person that will end up either trying to cross the road or trying to get somewhere, and they're going to be hurt. This thing with the 65 saying we've had roadworks, it's not just roadworks, it just stops or don't turn up. The other one is the 235, that's another route that just seems to only want to go as far as Brentford High Street. It's frightened to go down Ealing Road. It's as though we need passports to go up and down some of the Ealing Road. We need to see that we're paying, okay, I'm not using a bus very much, but there are people that use it, they pay for it. But these two services are in need, and we are losing it all the time. And the third one is road calming. Ealing Road, yet again to South Ealing Road, you need a pass. You might as well have border control, because only 3 cars go through at any time. And when you get cars jumping over, that queuing behind you, hooting and signing because they want to get through, you need to do some sort of research to see how bad the cars are going backwards and forwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And I will say, I really pushed TfL to see if they could come, and they weren't able to come. So in fairness to Rob, he's not from TfL and he's not responsible for the buses, but as a borough, as a council, is something we realise is important. And perhaps if you could touch on the relationship with TfL a little bit and how that works, but leaving time for other questions.
Yeah, so we do meet TfL regularly to talk about buses, and one of the things that we want to do coming out of the transport strategy is one of the things we're putting together is a public transport action plan that sets out what we want, what residents want, what you want the bus network to look like. So we do have, so it gives us something to talk to TfL about, and this is particularly about bus services and bus routing. But I do have regular meetings with senior sponsors at TfL and senior members of the public transport, the bus team there, to talk about bus routes, and I've raised particularly the 65. I raised with them last week, and that It's a difficult, obviously I can't speak for TfL, but it is something that we raise with them on a regular basis. We meet them, probably monthly at the moment, and I think they must be sick of me talking to them about buses, but we do raise any issues that are raised to us as officers. We raise with TfL, and it's very much on their radar, certainly with the senior members of the team that we deal with at TfL buses. So again, I'll take those away and reinforce those again, particularly the 65 and the 235.
Yeah, and Julie's not the only resident to mention, a lot of residents all that. So yeah, please do raise it and warn them if it doesn't get fixed. Julie might end up knocking on their door. So
yeah, so I did say. So I was going to say we did raise the 65 with them, the issue with it stopping at the Great West Road, and they have promised to go away and look at that, because I don't understand why all the buses stop at the Great West Road and some of them don't go through up to Ealing. So we have raised that in particular with them, and I will chase them for a response on that. Yeah, Mel.
Hi there, it's Honorary Alderman Melvin Collins, and that's the only time I shall use that today. So it's Mel from now on. Can I just hang my coat on what Julie said about the 235? But may I also remind people in this room that there is a legal agreement to run the 235 into Great West Quarter. And the only time that legal agreement can be broken is if there is either a severe accident, which would ordinarily put the bus on divert, or exceedingly inclement weather. There is no other reason why the 235 should be terminated any other place other than Great West Quarter. Whether they shorten it at the other end technically is not our concern, except the other end is still in our borough. The second point hanging on that is and it's odd for me to say this, but I'm going to, that a number or probably all of the countdowns have been on like busman's holidays. They're either there for a few minutes and then they bugger off, and then if you're lucky they'll come back. This is a very serious incident. Can that be looked at, and why, where they're putting in new bus stops, they haven't put in new countdowns to go with the new bus stops? Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Do we have anything about new bus stops not having countdowns, or is that something to take away?
I'll take that away. I think generally TfL, I mean, if we have, if there is funding from developers to do countdown at new bus stops, then I would make sure we ask, or the TfL ask for that. I know that they use countdown at the busiest bus stops. But again, I can take that away and get them to clarify that. But that's my understanding, that they put it at the busiest bus stops, presumably for funding reasons.
Okay, funding. Yes, there's the gentleman here.
Thanks very much. I'm hearing some positive things here, in fact. So the progress that's been made is actually good to hear, and you probably or may not hear enough of that. So I'm appreciative, and I'm sure other people in the audience are as well. It's a hard job because there are a lot of issues in the area. I've lived here for 30 years, and I echo the number 65, which in my opinion has never been good. I've spent months waiting at South Ealing Station late at night on my own for a 65 bus. And they often turn up 2 at a time. So that's point taken. My issue is with Brentford Railway Station. We've got a perfectly good mainline station in Brentford. And I've noticed, as a resident, that the service to and from that station is nothing less than appalling. There's no reason why it couldn't be better. It serves a lot of London's community.
Sorry to intervene. Are you referring to the frequency of the trains? How
Absolutely.
many trains come through?
Absolutely. And I refer to the frequency at weekends. I refer to the frequency late at night. I've often been at Waterloo very late in the evening, thinking, that's okay, 35 minutes back to Brentford, only to find that the train's either been cancelled or that I've just missed one. And that involves getting on the tube line, going to South Ealing, waiting for the 65 bus for an inordinate amount of time, and it's just not acceptable. And I don't see why, with a growing population in Brentford, why this cannot be fixed. And it should be fixed very quickly. We don't have to wait till 2030 or whatever the date was.
Thank you for the question. Just so there's time for everyone else. I think we've got that's the gist.
That's I think I echo.
And whilst
a lot of the community are almost certainly thinking, but just don't have the time to voice this in a forum like this.
We hear it, and Rob's not responsible for South West Trains, but is that something you can take to them? Is that right?
It's something that we've raised a lot with SWR. I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago and raised it with the managing director who was there. So I nobbled him and raised it with him. The response that SWR give us is down to funding. They're obviously at the moment they are under control of the DfT, the government. So they have to do what the government tells them to do, is the answer they give us. And at the moment they tell us that there's no funding, or the government tell them that there's no funding for those additional services, but it is something that we raise, and again we meet with SWR a lot, and it is something that we raise with them all the time, and we will keep pressing them on that because we understand that is a big problem.
And Catherine just pointed out to me at Borough Council we did have a motion that touched on this very issue, and I can say that it successfully went through. It had the majority of councillors support it, and it included the leader taking direct communication with South West Trains on this. So there are things behind the scenes. We hear you. Not going to promise it's going to get fixed straight away, but we're doing all we can. I saw some other hands. Yes, lady here. Can you wait for the microphone? That's all right.
So my name is Elani. I live in Claypond Gardens. I'm sorry about my English. It's not the best. So I hope everyone can understand. I'm here, I want to talk because I agree with the kind man, amazing what he told about. And I just would add that if we do not solve that basic foundations, in my point of view, any other project will not work. How can we motivate people to go by bus or underground? I will never leave the car in the garage just because you said it is better to go by bike, because I can't have public transport. So when we build a house, we start about the foundation. If you can't work, if you can't not work with the TFL or etc., I think that's invalidated all the money we are going to spend in other things.
Thank you for your comment. Any other questions? Just at the front here.
Hello, good evening. My name is Nazmere. I live at 200 Boston Manor Road. I usually take either train, Piccadilly line, or E8. E8 bus stop number N, they put a new stand, and when it rains, actually water comes inside in the stand, because they haven't done job properly. And there is a stand down there, it shows 195, yes, and but no E8. And buses are so dirty, you know, you can't touch anywhere.
It says bus stop N
yes.
for November on the Boston Manor Road.
Yes, yes.
And it leaks, and
the roof, and when it comes from the side, the rain inside while you're standing there. And they paint it in black, you know, it's on the seat. And they put sign, they said, Boston Manor Station, Sherwin Brentford and Bloodham Park showing Ealing side. You know, whoever does those things, you know, I don't know what they are doing. And buses, and also it would be a good idea to have a timetable down there. I mean, Bus U on Ealing side has got, not everyone has got smartphone and internet.
Can someone take this lady's contact details so we can get that through TfL and get a response back to her? So can someone do that?
And the buses are really dirty.
Buses are dirty.
Oh
yes.
my God, yeah. I can't wear my nice clothes, you know, I don't want to get dirty.
I think then it's the gentleman here with the question. On your left, if you could pass the mic.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. I signed up for emails from TfL several years ago, but I found they weren't terribly helpful because they were focused on underground services, which I very rarely use, with a paucity of information on local bus services. Actually, the emails stopped even though I didn't unsubscribe. So I think it's very unfortunate that there's not someone from TfL to answer my question directly. But what really makes my life difficult is if I go somewhere and there's, without my knowledge, there's a bus stop closed, like when I'm coming back. I find that, because I have personal circumstances which make that extremely difficult. So I would want, I'd like TfL to have a much more personal, localised email service for individual areas of Greater
And
London.
this relates back to what was said earlier about when the 65.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use that bus service only occasionally, and it's
the
been
same.
fine.
It's the same
but yes,
issue.
it's a similar
repeating.
issue. Yes.
So again, if we can hear that, Rob, and push that back to TfL, it does keep coming up. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Derek.
Yeah, I just wonder, where do you think the funding is going to come from for a station on the Great West Road?
So it's a good question, and it's one of the things that we're working on, looking at different funding options to try and bring that forward.
Meaning?
We're looking at ways in which we can bring that. We've had reports from Network Rail that gives us an idea of what the costs are likely to be, but we are looking at alternative ways in which we can bring that forward. There's nothing more I can say on that at the moment, but there's a lot of work going on to look at bringing forward an affordable solution to that.
All right, good luck.
Derek, if you're offering to cover the costs, we will be incredibly grateful. But
I can say something. So we might be looking at the affordable version rather than the deluxe version. But well, I don't know exactly, but there are ways you can bring costs down, basically.
yeah, Emily, thank you. Spotted before I did.
Thank you, Deborah Burns. Just a quick one on that. Is there a site nominated for that station on the Great West Road at this stage, on the A4? Thank you.
Yeah, so the proposed location is next to it's next to Transport Avenue. So there's Curry? No, it's not Curry's, is it? It's PC World. That's one. Sort of, yes. So there's a site allocation in the local plan. That's one of the site allocations, and that has in it safeguarding for a station.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we finished exactly when we should do according to the agenda. So, Rob, thank you. Oh, there's a question from Guy Lambert.
Any room for councillors here? Two issues that I've got, both related to the A4. One is the infamous Ealing Road junction, which simply doesn't work. It worked a lot better before it became legal. When it was illegal, it was safe and it worked. Now, I don't think it's safe, and it certainly doesn't work. That's number one. The second one, which I'm actually more agitated about, is Windmill Road, where a lot of people are unhappy about getting out of the north part of Windmill Road because of the changes to the centre. I don't really mind about that, but I'm very worried about the ability to cross Windmill Road north of the A4, where there is no cycle arrangement, there is no pedestrian arrangement. The pavement has been destroyed for many months by the developer there, and we don't seem to be doing anything about it. And it's a place where lots and lots of children pass to go to the primary school there and the preschool place as well. And a few go up to Gonnersbury Secondary School further up. So what are we going to do to make that safe? It needs a crossing there or something.
Yes, I know that there's where colleagues have been doing work with on the improvements that relating to the development. It's been a very protracted process, unfortunately, but I think we are nearly there with improvements to widen the footway in front of the development. I have raised, again, we have a quarterly working group with TfL, and the last one, which was only a couple of weeks ago, we did raise the issue of crossing on that arm of the junction with them. We will continue to raise that again with them to make, I think it was in response to your query, so it is on their radar again, but we will keep. There's a lot of things going on along the A4, a lot of issues, a lot of problems. So it's one of those, it's on the list, and we do have those regular meetings with TfL, and we will keep raising it.
Did you want to update on the traffic signals at Ealing Road roundabout?
Yeah, I can give a brief update on that. So again, it's something that we raise regularly with TfL. So we have regular meetings formal meetings with them, and we raise it on an informal basis as well. They have said that they will look at the phasing of the signals to try and they need to give, because of the amount of traffic on the A4, that's the road they prioritise. The fact it's TfL's road is probably no surprise, but we've made them aware that it's, I think it's the southbound approach to the junction where there's issues with traffic queuing, so we've raised that again with them. They're going to look at that in the short term to see how they can better balance that. But obviously, historically, there's been proposals to improve or to make changes to the junction to make it work better. They have said to us that they are going back to, they've told us when they made the changes originally, to the safety changes, that they would continue to look at the longer term improvements, and they keep reiterating that to us. So again, it's something that we're not going to let them forget. So it's a question of funding is my understanding, but it's something that is very much on our radar and therefore on their radar.
Thank you, Rob. Rees.
Just on the roundabout, I remember many years ago, I know Councillor Lambert's raised it before, TfL were going to bring in a new roundabout. They were going to redesign the way it all worked. And then that got parked for whatever reason, probably funding or whatever.
No, it was we rejected it.
Oh, okay.
Well,
if I may finish my question, I was going to ask, is there any chance that then we'll put that back on the table? Is that likely to be an option? Because it would appear that the legal traffic lights don't work with the old roundabout. So is it going to, if they can't change the lights because of the law, are they going to have to change the layout?
I think the simple answer to that is yes. And I think, is this the hamburger option that people refer to that was proposed?
I think so. It looked overly engineered to me, but
so I think, yeah, I did discuss that with them. I was talking to the senior sponsor there last week, and I think the issue with that proposal was it was I think he quoted me something like 10 or 12 million pounds because it affected the structure of the M4 and National Highways wanted lots of structural improvements, and so I think that one is, then they wouldn't look to take that forward, but there are other options. They think there are other options that they can look at to improve the roundabout, cheaper options, so therefore hopefully more deliverable.
So just two more questions. If we can keep them.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, go on, Catherine. Yeah.
Sorry, it was just on that update on the, because I did just quickly look up the response that Andrew had, or that you relayed to me from Andrew. From Andrew Hatch, who's our contact at TfL. So with looking at that, with the timings optimization they want to do, it might be good to get a view from people in this room, because I think he did ask what specific period of the day are the queues occurring, because that will help them with their potential optimization. I mean, you can tell me all if that's what it is, but if anyone's got a more nuanced answer, just all day, all the time. No variation at all. Okay, thanks. That would be helpful.
If we can, just two more questions. We are running over. If we can keep the questions really brief, please.
Not really a question, but just a comment on that junction. Everybody realises that what's been created there is an absolute disaster. I live in Whitestyle Road. Every time I drive up northbound from the A4, there's queues of traffic, and then all of a sudden what I've got in front of me on the wrong side of the road are Uber riders on mopeds and bikes. And of course there's never any police around to see them, but there's going to be a serious accident there one day because with traffic parked each side and the bikers, they're deliberately on the wrong side of the road.
Thank you.
It's a disaster.
Noted. Thank you. If you could pass the mic to Julie.
I'm just doing a bit of a right to reply. One of the things, this has been talked about now for the last 18 months. We've talked about this at every meeting. I know I do anyway. But the thing is, you're talking of millions. I'm not asking millions. I just want somebody going to set the timer at a right thing, that people can move along and not sit at one end at once, the Ealing side, not the South Ealing, the Ealing Road side, for ages to just get out. Because you can sit counting the cars. It's as simple as that. You don't have to spend millions of pounds to change. I know we're talking about changing it. Well, I've lived here all my life and there's never been major accidents there. But if someone come and watched it, you could see it. It is. The traffic unbelievable. One accident last week, it just shut the whole of Brentford down sort of thing. But that was also down to the traffic lighting system. So it's a minor thing, just get a man to go up and change the timer. That's not millions.
Reece wants to just jump in on that, and then we're going to move on to the next agenda item.
Amen. Julie, I don't think any of us here on the panel could agree with you more. I mean, it's frustrating, what it is, and I think we've been around this lots and lots of times. TfL run it. They changed the rules in whatever transport regs legal document many years ago that said all junctions have to work in X way. Those lights, which everyone seemed to have forgotten about, came to the end of their life, and when they did, realised they were running on a completely different pattern from what the new law said it should be. And now it's a case of regulations say no. So TfL just say, no, we can't do anything about it because these are the laws we have to follow, these are the rules we have to follow, this is the way it has to work. I agree with you, it's mad. It's very, very frustrating. Unfortunately, we can't change it, but it is one of those where we're at an impasse and it will take time. So, but we share your frustration.
Thank you, Reece. With that, I'm going to take no more questions on that, I'm afraid. We are running over a bit. Rob, thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, and again, just want to reiterate, please feedback on the transport strategy. We listen to anything and everything, so we want this to work. So please, the link was up there earlier. So
maybe Well,
thank you for everyone who has commented and fed.
Thank you very much, Rob. And now from one Rob to another, we're going to talk about Brentford Fountain Leisure Centre. The context, if you're unaware, is the building, Brentford Fountain Leisure Centre, has come to the end of its life. It's got some significant problems. We are keeping it going. We are doing the kind of necessary works and patches, and money's being released for that. But the goal is to build a brand new, state-of-the-art leisure centre. So we're not closing it down, as some boroughs are. We're hopefully getting a bigger and a better one. And as part of that, we recognise that when the leisure centre was built half a century ago, the layout, the design, the needs of the community, the interests, what people use the leisure centre for, that's changed quite a bit now. So we're going on an engagement. I called it a consultation, and Rob corrected me, said no, it's engagement. So Rob's going to talk about that process now.
Okay, good evening. So I'm Rob Francis. I'm in the engagement team. So I'm leading on this very initial phase, and that's the important thing to emphasise, about what will clearly be a big project, a long-term project around redeveloping the leisure centre. So that first phase is a quite simple and quite quick survey. We have some paper copies outside there. We have others I can get to you if you need them. It's online on the Let's Talk platform. So that launched about 3.5 weeks ago. We're well over 200 responses so far. It'll be live until the end of December is the plan. Lambton Leisure will be emailing the survey to their members, so their gym and swim membership list as well. We've been in the centre for a few days just meeting people to talk about what the project is and the stage it's at and how people can get engaged. We've got a big banner outside the centre. We've got posters and flyers at reception. We've got some flyers and posters at the local library in Brentford. There'll be other libraries. We'll get that too very shortly. So we're trying to get out to as many people as we can, of course. It's quite a simple set of questions at this stage. We're asking people if they use the centre at the moment, how they use it, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, and most importantly, what they would like from a new centre when it is developed. Surveys, of course, only can give you so much. So this is our way to reach to get a little bit from a lot of people, but we're also contacting a range of local groups, so we can set up some more focus group style discussions with small groups of people through local organisations. So I'm setting up those at the moment, probably for the new year now, once we get past Christmas. But if anybody hasn't been contacted about that and is part of a local organisation that could help us to either get the survey out to more people or to come and run something with you, or be at Clayponds tomorrow, for instance, then please let me know. I'm rob.francis at the usual Hounslow address. But to emphasise, it's the first phase of engagement on this kind of project. The hope is that longer term, as things really shape up and develop and become a bit more concrete, there'll be lots of opportunity to get more involved in the nitty-gritty of what this would sort of look and feel like as a new facility. So that's where we're at the moment.
Thank you very much, Rob. Now we're going to go on to steering group themes. Mel, yeah, you got a question? Just wait for the mic if you can.
Sorry. Yeah, may I, on behalf of all disabled people across the borough, ask how you are going to get this message out to people with disabilities in order that they can take part in the consultation, because places like this particular leisure centre are so important to the activities and mobility of people, particularly with physical disabilities, but also sensory disabilities. So could I urge you please to go through our equalities team and either speak to Celia, although I know she's going to be away, or Robert Bond. Thank you.
Yeah, just briefly, so we are certainly speaking to that team. That's a really important point. And there are other groups too that we know this is very important for as a facility, also who just perhaps don't generally engage in things or won't go and fill in a survey. So there are groups locally, I know, work with disabled people who I've contacted. I'm hoping to set something up with them, but I'm always looking for more. So I'll talk to Celia and the team about every contact we can on that front.
Stuart, if you can just wait for the mic. So because there's sometimes people who are using hearing aid, and because the meetings are streamed online, that's the reason I asked.
Right,
I know your voice carries, but
yeah, normally I don't need a microphone. I'm a regular attendee at this is the Fountain Leisure Centre you were talking about. I check in each week for spinning classes. I've not seen any survey forms at reception desk at all.
Yeah.
and I'm a member and I haven't received any notification. I would certainly have responded if I'd seen it, because one of the things that needs to change, 50 years ago, spinning was not a major feature in society. Now it's a colossal hobby and pastime, and the spinning centres, mainly in other countries, but the UK is catching up, are incredibly important and very well supported. So I would certainly, I'll try and find that form in the Let's Talk, but I'm surprised that for a regular attendee, that I haven't seen the forms at the Brentford Fountain Leisure Desk sign-in. So you might want to ask them if they can actually make them visible.
Yeah, we've been there today, so we've made sure there's a banner outside the front of the building on the steps on the way, and that was that went up last week, I think, or perhaps the week before. Inside, we've now made sure there's a poster right when you walk in, there's flyers when you walk in, there'll be some paper copies of the survey there as well.
So just this week they've been made available, is it?
That's just gone in there. We've been there on some of the days, but they're now available full time. So we're talking to Lambton Management to make sure that stuff is as visible as it can be. So yeah, and there's one in the gym. We're trying to get more up there as well. But we certainly want to make sure people who use it clearly see the stuff and take part. And I know they are going to email their mailing list of members too, which hasn't happened yet, I don't think. So that will go around as well, hopefully in the next few days.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Emma.
Sorry if I missed you say this, but when is so this initial consultation, when does it end?
So the plan is till the end of December for this. But another plan I should mention is that because this is a long-term process, we want people to be involved in various ways as things develop. We will be asking people if they want to be more involved and get updates as things come online. Then the Let's Talk page will grow from being just a simple survey to being a place where there's more information being updated over time.
Just one question. You mentioned this 50-year thing, but the fountain was built in 1987, and I know that because I was at the opening ceremony when Ken Livingstone opened it. So that's just one point of correction. On another point, why is it deemed unfit for purpose? As far as I know, apart from Isleworth, which was... There was a site there in 1936, I believe, for leisure. I can't think of any other public swimming pools in our locality. And bearing in mind we live right next to the Thames, and every young child should learn how to swim, is that going to be taken into consideration?
I mean, all I can say from an engagement point of view is, as you can imagine, people coming into the centre that we've been talking to, one of their big concerns is what happens while it's being redeveloped, if it is indeed on the same site. So, yes, that will be a difficult thing locally for people to have to manage. And that's one reason why I think this engagement needs to be pretty ongoing, because as those plans do develop, we want to make sure people have options around that. But that's all from an engagement point of view I can, I guess, comment on.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in engineering or architecture, but my understanding is a lot of the building is quite degraded and needs significant financial injections to bring it up to standard. And I think it's got to the place, if you speak to me afterwards and leave me your details, I get you a more formal answer. But I think in a nutshell, it's got to the place where to keep it going would not be a good use of taxpayers' money. And we need to look at opportunities where we can deliver a state-of-the-art new centre. I think one person made the speculative comment that it's quite a unique building and quite a unique shape, and perhaps in the 80s, and you are correct, I think best part of half a century might have been the term I used, which I accept slightly stretches. I think it might point to what we need to look at in the design of a new building is something that will stand the test of time and be robust, and we might want to lean towards that being more heavily weighted than something that looks like a spaceship emerging out of Mars. But yeah, if you want a more of a formal answer on why, please speak to me afterwards. Catherine.
Thanks, Dan. Don't worry, I'm also less best part of half a century, but not 50 yet. There obviously will be some disruption, obviously depending on where it is, but assuming that it is going to be, the new building will be on, the new leisure centre will be on the site of the old leisure centre, that means a period of time when it will be closed, and that's why this period of engagement is so important. But my understanding is that Lambton Leisure are already working these things through in terms of making sure that alternative provisions will be able to be put in place, especially around swimming lessons and things. Obviously, that will need to be refined based on the feedback from residents and the understanding that we can gain of what the requirement will be. But it's not like people are just sitting back waiting for that. The work is already being started.
Yeah, one here and then Derek. Is that Sally and then Derek?
Hello, I just want to know what the timelines are, because at Speak Out in Hounslow we have a gym group which meets there every week. It's really, really popular. It's very accessible for the majority of residents throughout the borough, so it's very important to us as an organisation. We know what's going on, and also I'm slightly concerned that some of our members will get very concerned that it's going to close if they see that there's consultations about it.
We don't have exact timelines, but I think you can extrapolate from the fact that there are no architect's designs, there is no planning application yet. We are, I think it'd be safe to say, some time away from those doors closing, but we don't have an exact timeline at this stage. But again, if you email me, Sally, I'll try and see if I can get an officer to give a bit more of a concrete picture. Then Derek.
Sorry, the speaker, forgive me, I've just forgotten your name, but did I hear you say just now, if indeed it is on the same site? I think I did.
I think the assumption we're working to is that it's being discussed as being on the same site. I think a lot of this, as far as I'm aware, is not pinned down. It is sort of, but the discussion is that it's on the same site because that seems to be the best site for it. But that's the messaging I think we're getting at the moment.
And that assumes that you can get funding or somebody to build it, because there was a complete collapse of the original proposal where the developer pulled out.
I think one of the reasons it's such a long-term project is that it's all those things have to fall into place, yes. So that's currently sort of what we're hearing about it, and how we're presenting is that it's some way off, therefore some time until there's any change to the current situation, and that's why there's so much that is not yet pinned down. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Well, if you could just close by just sharing the web address for the consultation and reminding everyone where the paper copies of the consultation. That'd be great.
Yep, so paper copies we have at the Leisure Centre itself. We will replenish those. I'm not sure, I think they're probably getting through them. There are some at the local library here at Brentford as of today. They're up, there's more there. We'll get them to other local libraries soon. But if anybody wants to contact me, it's at rob.francis, the usual address, I can get anything to you. And your other question, sorry, was, that's paper copies. Was there something else? A website, yes. So that's, if you go to Let's Talk, you will just, it's long to read all that, but the Let's Talk Council platform for engagement, you'll find Brentford Fountain up there quite prominently.
So for someone who doesn't know that, what do they type into their computer?
You simply type in Hounslow Let's Talk, and you'll find that platform, and then you'll find...
In a search engine?
In a search engine, yeah.
Hounslow Let's Talk.
Yes, that will get you there, I'm pretty confident, yeah.
Brilliant, well thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you everyone, thanks.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 4. This is the steering group. If you're unaware of the steering group is comprised of members of the community who come together to help support the area forum and chiefly in suggesting themes and important issues that could be discussed or covered with a presentation at an area forum. If you're not on the steering group and you're interested on being it, please email me or speak to Chris or any of the guys or any of the councillors. But one thing I'd love to just give a few minutes space to here, probably less than I've got down here because we're running a bit tight on time, is what sort of things would people like to see covered at future area forums? So we've had some suggestions on the post-it notes outside. But is there any particular burning issue people would like to see discussed at a future area forum? Yes, you were just first. Then.
To discuss cycling on pavements, and particularly by electric bikes that are not, they've basically been hacked, and there are more motorbikes than than push bikes.
Thank you. And then the lady in front in the white.
Yes, I think I go with him, but not about the bikes, but the quality of the pavement to walk is another thing we need to do a foundation. I'm disabled, I use one walking stick and I can't walk in this bottle because the pavement is not adequate, so we need to talk about.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. Just wait for the microphone if you can.
Thank you. When they put new pavement, new stones anyway, they haven't done proper job, on the pavement. So when it rains, there is water gathers down there, because the way they did it causes the problem.
So this is the
in front of my
drains being able to drain, not draining properly, and
not draining. No, there is
paving stones.
Pavement, yes. Maybe he knows. When it rains on the pavement, water.
The water gathers because the pavements.
It doesn't go anywhere. That's the problem.
Understood.
They should really have done in a way where it shouldn't stay water where it rains down there. It's.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Hands up. Any hands? Don't be shy. We don't bite.
Wonderful. Okay, then that leads us on to the open forum, which is opportunity to ask questions on general issues. But please note, if it's an individual case, if it's casework, we can't discuss that in the meeting. But any of the staff or the councillors would be happy to take up individual cases with you after the meeting. So, any questions? Mel.
Thank you. Sorry, but I think this has to be asked at this time of the year. I have been exceedingly disappointed to learn in the last month that two of our treasures in the Steam Museum and Musical Museum are having to curtail some of their presentations and opening hours to the public. Do we now have a assistant director for culture and leisure, and if so, can that be an agenda item at a future meeting? And B, is there an overall strategy, not only for this area, because we are blessed with so much heritage, which is going up the pictures, down the Swanee, up the stream, whatever you'd like to call it. This part of Brentford where we are is absolutely steeped in history, and it's just passing us by more and more new build, and we're losing the heritage like there's no tomorrow. And I think we need to grasp that, and the only way to do it is to bite the nettle, employ somebody like a leisure and tourist assistant director who will bring thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pounds into this area to maintain and improve the assets which we've had for very, very many years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Rhys, you wanted to come in on that?
Yeah, just like to say thanks, Mel, for raising the point. Obviously, it's very important. The Musical Museum and the Steam Museum are really important assets, heritage assets, brilliant venues and places to go. I think you put your finger on it when you started talking about money, because that's like everything else at the root of all of this. And it's sort of, we saw it at the beginning with the Arts Centre, the Watermans, where that again was, you know, their energy costs went from, 25 grand a year to 125 grand a year overnight. And a lot of charities are facing these problems. The Steam Museum's big problem is the roof. They need to replace the roof. They are doing fundraising at the moment. I think they had a £50,000 target. I understand it's going quite well. I speak quite often with Hannah, who runs the Steam Museum. She's doing a fantastic job. It is getting people through the door to keep these places going. It is raising awareness of the fact that they need funding. A lot of that funding from public organisations isn't there. I don't think a new assistant director of culture at Hounslow is going to magically make lots more money arrive. I think this is a wider problem about how we fund and support and subsidise these places, but I think it's also a good opportunity to say, yeah, they really need our help. And if we, like all things, use it or lose it, you know. And I've been going with my kids to the Steam Museum quite a bit this year, and it's a fabulous place, and I really strongly recommend it. So if you do have, and it's good for all ages, it's fascinating whether you're into the steam bit or the engineering bit or the water bit, because they're much more focusing now on water and the sustainability of water, which is, you know, actually a really important issue and is much more interesting than it sounds. Water is actually really interesting. Occasionally they have a water sommelier as well who comes in, because not all water tastes the same. And I see some laughter, but apparently it's true. Water sommeliers are a thing. So it's definitely, you know, we should all... I'm pleased you raised it so we could do our bit of highlighting this tonight and talking about it, but I strongly encourage everyone to make use of the Musical Museum and the Steam Museum. I think we had our area forum at the Musical Museum recently. It's fantastic. And things like the arts, the Creative Mile, are helping to get people in there once a year, and we need to do more of that sort of thing to sort of promote and encourage people to get along. But I think it's an important issue, and I'm pleased you raised it.
Thank you, Rhys. Emily, did you want to come in?
Just to say, the culture strategy consultation is open, and Andy was here today. Some of you may have spoken to him from our culture team. We can pass the details at the end of the forum if anybody wants that. Sorry, I haven't got the exact date that it closes in my head, but it is open, and they are at our forums currently, and I think they are out and about in the borough as well. But we can give you that information as needed.
Yeah, I'm not having a moan, honestly. I just mind, which makes a change. No, it's information I'd like the councillors to take back, and anybody who may know anybody. This is an advert, actually. We're having a break. We're doing a food distribution at Clay Ponds Community Centre. You do not need referrals. It is open to anybody every Tuesday from 1:30 till 2:30. It is fresh food that comes in, and we are open Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So if there's anybody that you know that might need it, please come to the Clay Ponds Community Centre.
So that's Tuesdays, 1:30 to 2:30. Clay Ponds Community Centre. No referral needed.
No referrals, and we are open Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
Thank you. Yes, the gentleman here.
Thank you. My name's Andrew Hodgson. I'm actually a resident in Hammersmith and Fulham Borough, but I do use the shopping facilities in this borough a lot. And I'm here really to urge you not to extend the bus stop bypasses and cycle lane infrastructure, which I believe was under Transport for London, but this new bit is for you to decide, but I'm urging you to decide against it. I used to use the bus stop by Marks and Spencer's in Chiswick. I no longer use it because for me, getting off and crossing a cycle lane is dangerous. I can't hear the cycles. Visually impaired people generally wouldn't be able to hear the cycles. Cycling behaviour is very unpredictable. Now, with advancing years and a slight loss of hearing, I would be able to hear the cyclists even less. But it's not possible. So what I have to do is go an extra. I shop at the Marks and Spencers in Chiswick, but I have to go an extra stop to Turnham Green and then walk back. I think this is an infringement of my human rights. It's inconvenient because if it's raining or something. So I think that this infrastructure whereby we have to cross cycle lanes, it's not only visually impaired people, it's a lot of older people as well, other disabilities. Really, it's not suitable infrastructure, and I urge you to reject it.
Thank you. Catherine, did you want to come in on that?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I mean, I do hear from a lot of people who have concerns about the bus stop bypasses. It's obviously there for safety reasons, to make sure that cyclists are not mixing with the road traffic, equally not mixing with bus passengers. Now, I know that's not 100% because there is the point where people have to cross a cycle lane perhaps to get to a bus stop. We certainly can look at ways to mitigate any possible dangers. In terms of the stretch of cycle lane that you're talking about, that's been proposed and consulted on, the extension down to Syon Park, we haven't taken a decision on that yet. TfL have just recently released the results of their consultation. So we will be looking at that very carefully, along with all the data that's available.
Thank you, Catherine. Any other questions? Yes. Just... Yeah, I'll give you a supplementary, yeah.
There's a microphone.
I would just say the solution, I believe, is that cycles should have to, the buses should have to pull into the pavement. There should be universal design for boarding buses, and cyclists can wait behind the bus. Those are the more confident can go outside on the outside. But I think that personally, I think that's the solution.
Thank you. Yes, so this gentleman here.
Yes, I just wanted to pick up on Mel's point on local history, and I'm sure many people who've lived in the area and live in the area rather, really appreciate our local history, and there's an enormous amount of history. The issue, I think, is awareness. I have seen local school children being taught about various points of local history. What I think is missing is a sort of a joined-up approach supported by the council, which I haven't noticed. Maybe there is, but there doesn't seem to be. And I do agree that it's a huge missed opportunity to overlook the deep and long history of the area. It can be used to teach our young children something enduring about the place that they live, and to build a sense of community and belonging. So I think it's an opportunity that's being missed, and I think the council should be doing more about that, not just necessarily in Brentford, but more broadly. So I just wanted to raise that.
Thank you. That's noted, and I'd really encourage you to put those thoughts forward through the culture strategy consultation. But great points. Any other questions?
I would like to ask if someone could tell me what is the plan for improvements in the estates, especially in the clay ponds gardens? If you have plan to improve clay ponds gardens.
Do you know what? That's a very good question. What improvements in particular do you have in mind?
So I live there and I see that the buildings itself need maintenance. It is years and years, and if you wait for my years, that will be more destroyed until you get to one point that, like Fontaine, we need to destroy that. So it's clever if we do maintenance, like stairs, cleaning. We pay a lot for cleaning, and it is not clean adequately. Gardens was better when I came. Stairs is very about safety. Something that is, I know that is not about the bottle I heard today, but the bottle should listen with the Thames water, because we have floods everywhere, including things that is about contamination of our foods. And I already raised this problem since I moved there.
Those are some really great thoughts. Can I suggest, as that's in your ward, Reece, you take that up?
It is what I asked about.
If you're able to leave your contact.
Yes, about clay ponds.
Hold on, just wait for the mic, Julia. We'll let you come in. Please, but it's if you can just take the details, and Reece will be able to follow up with you, and we may be getting a counterpoint here from Julie.
I'm really surprised about that, because yes, our caretaker over at Clay Ponds is excellent. We have the estate services come over here. He does, I know we have but he does clean the estate. He does the stairwells every week. He goes around blowing all the leaves. There's no leaves. Elderly people can walk around that estate quite safely. So I am quite surprised about what's coming up about it. Hopefully, Reece, you can understand, because Clay Ponds isn't as bad as what's coming out.
Reece.
Just hold
on a second. Okay, just hold on. What this meeting is not going to turn into is people shouting across each other. If you want to speak, raise your hand, come through the chair. Reece.
That's okay. Look, I'm pleased everyone's passionate about clay ponds. I think we're in a happy place where me and Julia are once again in complete agreement. I would say, clay ponds is a really nice estate. It's very safe. It's very clean. It is well maintained. Certainly the grounds are always very clean. There are, as there are on all our estates and everywhere else, there are challenges. It's an urban environment in London, and there are always bits and pieces that could be better. But one, I will completely make this clear. There is absolutely, this whole idea that people have that there's always an idea to run places down. That is far from the case. We value our estates. We want to make our estates better. That's one of the things that I think we take very seriously as a Labour group. Money is always a challenge and has been very challenging, but as Julia says, we've invested in the caretakers. We have the estate improvement managers, where we do estate ward walks all the time. We have people who go out and monitor these things all the time. Julie raises stuff with me quite often, and we know where there are problems on the estate, and we do our best to try and fix it. I think it's quite an irony. We were talking earlier about knocking down a building that was built in 1987. What's really interesting about Clay Ponds, which was built in the 50s, is that those buildings are actually really good quality. Yes, they've still got the coal chutes, which are no longer functional because it was built before the grid. It was never linked up originally for electricity. But those buildings are actually some of our better stock in many ways, better than, I would argue that the Clay Ponds estate is the buildings as built were better in the 50s than the ones on the Haverfield estate, which were built in the 70s. You know, and I think that, you know, we could probably talk a lot about where we didn't build things as good as the 20th century went on. But I think the Clay Ponds is doing well. We can always do better, always be better. But I would agree with Julie. I think it's pretty clean. When I go knocking on doors around there, I think I'm quite impressed with how well maintained it is. But if you've got particular things, let's have a chat, and we can always see if we can do better.
Although no offence meant to the residents of the Haverfield estate, of course.
I think all the offence was to the architects and the construction methods of the time. Just to be clear.
Yeah, just behind you. Did you? I'll give you the last word on it, but then we're going to move on from this.
I just want to clarify. I'm not talking about the things that is good. The man who does the catering, he is amazing. Yes, he is, but he is only one, and it is what I was talking about. Okay?
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, from a Chamber of Commerce point of view, I would be very interested to know how the business allocation is going on the south side of the High Street. So I think there's a general lack of information about people who are hoping to move in or have been promised they can move in.
So a lot of that is commercially sensitive information. Councils have been given some information, but not all. I think we're very close, I think, to getting that final list out, and fairly close to having people move in. But I think we take a slightly different view than, say, perhaps your average landlord would. We're doing it's a more extended process where we're trying to understand not just the commercial element and the viability, which is important, but also recognizing the community aspect and how that works. And as such, that is a longer process, and we're coming to the end of that process that has favored local businesses, and then we'll be moving on to more change. So I recognize that's been a long process. I think it's right that we've taken more time on that, and I think we're nearly there.
Can I do the short version?
I thought that was the short version.
The process was designed to prioritise putting local businesses in there, and my understanding is that we are going to achieve that brief. You know, it's taken time, and these things are not done in public. These things are commercially sensitive, and if people want to voice their frustrations at how long it takes, then that's fine. But, you know, the process is the process, but it's been set up in a way to achieve an objective that we thought people in Brentford wanted, which was to have local Brentford businesses in there, and I think that is what we are going to
Thank you for the short version there, Reece. Any other questions? Lady at the front.
My concern is our pavements. I don't feel safe because of cyclists. Pavement is for the people, not for the cyclists. You've got to do something about it before someone dies. You know, I've got mobility issues. If some cyclist comes behind me, hits me, I fall, who's going to be responsible? Tell me, I want to know who's going to be responsible. Because
this is the cycling on pavements again issue. Yeah.
Yes. I want to be safe when I'm walking outside. And I can't walk in the middle of the road because it's not for me, for the cars. But pavement, as far as I'm concerned, it is for the people. For me or for you. You've got to do something about this thing.
Thank you.
One thing, anything, those electric cyclists, they drop, leave it on the pavement. You know, you can't pass, and you just push it with my walking stick.
Catherine, I know you want to come in on this.
Try not to assault people with your walking sticks. Probably not a good idea. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we don't want people cycling on the pavements unless, of course, it's small children or something like that. But no, we don't want. It is a difficult thing to deal with. Responsibility obviously lies with the police, who are not exactly flush with resources and probably don't see pavement cycling as a priority, although it did used to certainly be a priority for at least some of the ward panels in terms of their local priorities. I don't know how much action that actually corresponded to. As a council, I think one of the things we're doing is building those safer cycling routes so that cyclists feel safer and don't have to go on the pavement. But that's not an excuse, but that sometimes is the reason why people will cycle on the pavement. I think there's also something we probably are planning to do around around education and trying to get people to be more courteous of each other on the roads and on the pavements. But as I said, very difficult issue to solve. Well, as I said, enforcement would be a matter for the police. So, yeah. They do sometimes run operations on that sort of thing, but I agree it's probably very rare.
Andy at the back, like to come in.
Hi, thank you. My name's Andy Ward, and I chair the, with my good friend Julie here, the Brentford Ward panel. And there's just two quick things. So the first one is, apart from all the police issues that we get that are prioritised, the one we hear the second most about is bikes, electric bikes, pavement riding, and obviously the police really can't do anything. In fact, the police have done something in Hounslow recently. They had a session where they confiscated some bikes, and they've also done that in Chiswick, so that's a really good move. But it is one really big problem that we face a lot in our meetings. Just break away. Second point, sorry, Dan, is one issue that is another on our ward panel at the moment is blue badge thefts out of cars for our vulnerable residents. And I understand the police have been trying to work with the local authority and the CPZ provider to be able to issue all the blue badge holders free permits so they don't have to put their blue badge in their car. Seems like a really simple solution. I believe Ealing do it, I believe other boroughs do it, but for some reason Hounslow seem to be dragging their feet on it. So I wonder if someone could perhaps comment on that, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah, I can comment on that. I mean, just firstly on the bikes thing, yes, you're absolutely right. So the Hounslow Police, along with our transport team and the fire brigade, I think, had an operation on Hounslow High Street. They were picking up illegal e-bikes, which are more like actually motorbikes. So the ones that don't comply with the legal speed limits for legal e-bikes. And they did stop a number of people, confiscate bikes, etc. But also giving useful information to people about how to charge their e-bike batteries safely, how to look for ones that might, not be safe. Hence the fire brigade being there, they do cause. They have been known to cause fires. Moving on to the blue badge issue. Yes, so that solution you were talking about. I mean, I was raised with me a while back, and I discussed it with the team. I mean, we're moving towards a digital blue badge system, and that's the end goal. But it may be that there's an option for doing something in the interim. I'll follow up on that.
Yes, a gentleman here. If you could wait for the microphones coming just behind you on your right.
Can I just make a comment? I'm here to support Andrew tonight, so I met him and I brought him here. I mean, the chaos at bus stops is part and parcel of the reason, and the illegal this, that and the other, going both ways, doing all manner of things, gyroscopes, God knows what else. All that chaos is part and parcel for why Andrew cannot possibly get to his local town centre now. He cannot drive, he cannot cycle, he now cannot catch and use the bus service. That's why he's come along this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Julie.
Yeah, I'm just changing it a wee bit. It was brought up here for the last year. Clayponds Avenue and Chestnut Avenue. Yet again, we are going. Councillor Sharma did say it was all in hand, but it's still not in hand. We just simply want the sign taken down so cars can continue to start turning right. But because it is so dangerous, a child nearly got run over the other day. It's happening every week, and this has been going on now since COVID. They put the signs up saying no right turns into Clayponds Avenue from Chestnut Avenue onto the Great West Road. That's what it is. It's to block the roads off. But the thing is, they just U-turn and they don't care. When you've got vans and lorries doing U-turns in a tiny little road, something's got to be done. And literally, I bring this up at every single forum meeting and nothing is being seen to.
Thanks, Julie. I wish I had an update for you. I don't. I need to speak to Councillor Sharma, but we know it's a problem and it needs to be fixed. And, you know, thank you for raising it again. You're right to keep raising it. We'll look into it. I don't know if Catherine.
I think this might be the issue that Guy wrote to me about that had come up at the ward panel. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. In that case, I mean, I'm not familiar with the layout or anything myself, but I'll talk to Reece and Marina.
Okay, we're coming to the end of the meeting. Did anyone have any other burning questions? Just one from Mel. On your left.
Are you able to give us an update of the former Morrison site, and alongside that, because it's in the same area, what on earth is going to happen to the police station site?
Emma, you want to come in on that? And after Emma, Guy, do you want to come in on that as well? So the question was the former Morrison site. And then the other question is on, you want to come in on the police station site?
I mean, all I know is that it's little. I know they've started work in the last few days. I have tried to get a contact within Lidl and failed so far. I had good contact with the landlord, which is L&Q Housing Association. So they're obviously going to open it soon. Whether soon is January or May, I don't know. We'll have to try and get close to that and understand what their timescales are. But certainly I'll welcome it greatly because it's round the corner from where I live. And it used to be my corner shop, and I need my corner shop back, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy. Emma, you wanted to cover the police station site?
Yeah, so we're in advanced talks with the Housing Association at the moment to take on the delivery of the police station site. So this is going to unlock the delivery of the whole scheme. At the moment, we can't say who they are. There will be some necessary changes to the planning of the scheme due to the Building Safety Act. But underlying all this, it is our commitment to deliver the Arts Centre. As soon as we have further information, we will update you, but it is all good news, it's positive.
Thank you. Emily.
Just to say, somebody has kindly informed me that the consultation from the culture team closes on December 31st. So if anybody wants to complete the culture consultation and wants that information, please do ask one of us, put your hands up guys, before you leave, or Matthew on the desk just out there. Just come and talk to us, we'll give you the link, whatever you need. We want you to fill that out.
Thank you. Okay, there is no urgent business that I've been made aware of. The date of the next meeting is the 5th of March, and we will let you know the venue. Thank you very much for coming, and have a safe journey home. Oh, sorry, can we agree the minutes, everyone? Minutes? Agreed? Yeah. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.